Howdy ho. Let's see who's in here. Not just me and the cat. Let's see what we. Let's see. Okay. Pete, hello there. How you doing, my friend? Okay. So today, hope you guys had a good week. First of all, kind of weird hearing my own voice, so. that said, hold on a second. Got Trouble in Paradise. Sorry, ensuing chaos. Nightbot got you for spamming. I have to fine tune those settings so it can separate spam from other things. Phone died, so I tried to log on my laptop. The laptop won't let me play it because I use... Don't tell me IE stands for Internet Explorer, bro. You gotta jump on at least Firefox or Google Chrome, something. But I'm glad. So I'm thinking about extrapolating a series called From a Certain Point of View, because there are really so many things that fall into a gray area in Star Wars that I'm starting to really look upon differently. So anyway, I thought it would be a lot of fun if we looked at Anakin's point of view. When I was younger, I get it, not being a tech guy. Well, that being said, oh, it's a little hard to hear. Hold on. Okay. And down the background. Turning up the mic. You guys tell me how that sounds. Thanks, man. I'm glad you're loving it. I was sick this past week, so I only dropped one video aside from this live stream, but next week it'll be back to our regularly scheduled program. So yeah, you guys tell me the music to mic that's too much, or so I'm glad you guys are enjoying that. That being said, I would like to know what other things you guys think that we should be examining in Star Wars from maybe a slightly different point of view. Because when Anakin said, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. When I was younger, I used to take it as kind of a throwaway line, just kind of generic, that Anakin obviously was corrupted. He sees Palpatine. I mean, not Sidious. George Lucas even said it makes no difference to Anakin at this point. The Jedi are power hungry. Palpatine's power hungry, but which one is going to help me save Padme? That was Anakin's deal. But I was watching The Phantom Menace a couple nights, and when Anakin was being scoured, tested, interrogated, I don't know. When he was being tested by the Jedi Council to see his level of force sensitivity, Yoda goes into this whole spiel of Jedi dogma, and he says, thoughts dwell on your mother, see through you we can. And they were already predisposed to not accepting Anakin into their fold because he was old. But it's so funny, the next thing Yoda says, he goes into a spiel about fear is the path to the dark side, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And I had to pause the movie right there. I had to pause the movie and I had to think for a little bit. I said, hold on a second. As soon as Qui-Gon brought up Anakin, they were hesitant. Now, Palpatine said that all people who have power fear to lose it. That I are no different. That's true. Nobody on the council found Anakin. They didn't run into this. But because it was Qui-Gon, who was supposedly this maverick Jedi, and I'm using heavy air quotes, it seemed like they were hesitant to believe him, or at least check up on it. So they're already kind of distrustful of Anakin coming in. because he's not a baby, because they didn't find them by their conventional means. Qui-Gon found them on this backwater Outer Rim planet. He's a slave, and he's older. I mean, he's 9 years old, 10 years old. So they test him. They give him the Jedi Manifesto, how fear leads to the dark side. But they were already scared of Anakin. Much fear we sense in you. Danger I fear in his training. So while they're preaching to Anakin about fear leading to the dark side, his fear specifically, I started to think, well, hold on a second. What about the Jedi's fear of him? The Jedi feared Anakin in that moment. They feared what he might become because he was too old and too powerful. They decided not to train. Decided to wash their hands of supposed problem. Now that was in. So the train of thought that I followed, I said, okay, so fear leads to anger. You guys treated Anakin with hostility because you were afraid of him. Legends, we know that he was black sheep, wasn't completely ostracized, but he surely was different from all the other Padawan learners and was disciplined with a heavy hand. People came down on him hard. That cultivated a soil of fear. If Anakin was a seed, the Jedi were already fearful of him. Showed in helicopter. Right? So fear leads to anger. That creates resentment in Anakin. He's frustrated that he's not being accepted. Years and years and years. That fear builds into frustration, builds into anger. Step 2. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. So between episode 1 and episode 2, Anakin has been getting more and more frustrated, which boils over into anger. How did he reach that tipping point? We know that it was in episode 2 when he went to go rescue his mother. Didn't have an outlet for his anger. His connections weren't the problem. It's the fact that he didn't know how to deal with his feelings. That was the problem. So his anger boils over and it turns into hatred when he does the Tusken Raiders, and he says that verbatim. I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them. He says that. So Jedi's fear of Anakin caused him to feel frustrated, which over the course of 10 years built into anger and blew up in one moment as hatred. Ended up killing somebody. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. And we all know how the galaxy suffered after that. Recently, I can't remember if I was reading an article or a video, but recently I stumbled on a quote from George Lucas. And this doesn't have anything to do with Anakin and his anger, but something that I think I'm going to use as a tool next time I talk to Star Wars haters. Not just the galaxy, but Anakin himself as well. Indeed. The Clone Wars were created directly by. So they helped to fill in not just the gaps between episodes 2 and 3, but to illustrate everything that Anakin went through in story. I stumbled upon a quote where Lucas was talking about the expanded universe, and he said, the expanded universe is nice, but he was getting tired of people asking him, when are we going to see the expanded universe on screen? And he finally said, I am not beholden to the expanded universe. The expanded universe is beholden to me. The 6 movies plus the Clone Wars cartoon story, everything else ensues from that. I said, he's right, So next time I run into people who are too attached to the EU, I would just ask them to keep that in mind, that no matter what, the saga movies are what we hold as, what's that expression? Not what we hold as fact, what we hold as our gospel truth. The sagas and the clone. But we do not like the way that this series is going. But I mean, what are you gonna do? It's just so interesting to me, people saying that they Last Jedi from canon. I mean, do you really think that Luke just don't like it? Don't watch it. I don't know. But I'm like I've said many times before, I'm waiting for episode 9 so that I can see the entire puzzle. I know that there are a lot of unanswered questions, but 9 will answer them. But anyway, back to Anakin. So maybe now you can see from a different point of view why I think Anakin fell as Vader. It wasn't him getting angry in a vacuum. It wasn't just because his mother was killed by Tusken Raiders. He went through so much heartache and pain in the Clone Wars. Not just Ahsoka being betrayed by and not just Palpatine here, but naturally Padme Amidala was a big motivating factor. And it wasn't just that he wanted to save her from dying. That's what pushed him over the top. However, it was more so him keeping their marriage a secret that weighed him down throughout the clone. So not only is he this galactic hero, this, that, and the third, Jedi General, Jedi Knight, hero of the Republic, or whatever his title was, he was keeping this huge secret that could have expelled him from the Jedi Order. Now, being a Jedi is great and all, but when you're Anakin Skywalker, what does being expelled from the Jedi Order actually mean? And that's where Qui-Gon got it right. I believe that if Qui-Gon had killed Darth Maul, would have taken Anakin as his Padawan learner, and let's say Obi-Wan was not elevated to knighthood, I think Qui-Gon would have left the Order and been like, hey, being a Jedi versus following the will of the Force and training this boy who the Force has provided to save the galaxy, Qui-Gon is going to do. So I just wish that Anakin had just an older and more experienced teacher so that he effectively, and yes, the Jedi was his entire life, but he was super close to leaving the Order multiple times, and at least he had a life before the Jedi. Ahsoka, I mean, we can, hold on. Ensuing Chaos says the loss of your entire life for a Jedi to be expelled would be the end of. That's true, but I would counter, it's very true, I would counter that statement with Ahsoka leaving. Look how she turned out. I mean, I don't know if you guys disagree, but when we see Ahsoka in Rebels, she is Jedi Master level. Although she's not technically a Jedi anymore, she clearly has ascended into mastery. Ahsoka was stronger than Anakin. Something wasn't sitting right with Ahsoka. The Jedi did her wrong, so she left. I know that was her choice. I mean, she was better for it. But Anakin should have considered leaving at that point. Truly. But Anakin was just too in love with being a Jedi. But if we're being real, with everything that Anakin had on his plate, namely Padme, and then his Padawan being set up, those are two huge motivating factors for the character. Love of his Padawan, and it's really his love of family, but his love of his Padawan, his love of his wife, who are his family. Looking back, Anakin was already playing it close to the chest. He should have taken that opportunity to leave the order. He said, hey, if this is how we treat one of our own, how can I be a part of it? He should have left. That would have made things interesting. But there's no way he would have walked. Yeah, remarkably strong character. You know, a lot of people that surround Anakin are really foils for his character. I think in that instance specifically, they were showing the contrast between Ahsoka and him. Because Anakin says, you have no idea often I've thought about leaving the order. Ahsoka said, I know. She leaves. So that is enigmatic, and it leads us to infer something. But let's say she did know about Padme. His desire to leave the order because of that, because of the pressure. I don't know. I think it just illustrates, like you said, the strength of people like Ahsoka, Padme, who can walk they love despite putting their whole life into it, and Anakin, who no matter what is really mentally sick when you think about it. He's super possessive. He cannot let go of anything. Skywalker complex, or Neo complex, Matrix. He save the world. He can do things that are beyond the mundane life. He can save people from dying because he's the chosen one. I think he misunderstands his role a little bit, but yeah, I think so. Especially that conversation meant to show us the difference between what Anakin should be doing morally and what he does not have the strength to do. I don't know, but for all of those things, all of in Anakin's character, that's ultimately why he said that, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Naturally, the Sith are the evil ones, but Anakin, how can anyone tell you different? And you guys preach detachment and all of this. Well, you detach my Padawan from the Jedi Order. I've had to hide my wife from you guys. August. Been doing nothing to end the war. You guys say that the Sith are the enemy, but prove it. You guys haven't been looking for the Sith. You've just been fighting mindlessly in this war. So how can you tell me? Ensuing chaos, do you think that mindset could be feeling outperform but be absolutely? I would think that in most cases, no matter strong, as humans, we are social creatures. More than likely, the end will bend to the but the biggest motivating factor for Anakin is ideal of what a Jedi is. Before he even meets a Jedi in real life, he's already decided that he's going to become one. So he is going to do so. A desire to outperform, to be accepting. Him being ostracized was most unfortunate. I do wonder how him being ostracized could have been combated. Haha, Ron Navy. You already know, man. Star Wars After Dark, smooth chat. Hilarious, man. I think that Anakin would have benefited most because family is his big thing. He just would have benefited most from somebody older than him. Because let's say he didn't have the Chosen One title. Him coming into the Jedi Order at 10 years old would have cast him as the black sheep anyway. So he probably would have been ostracized from jump. Ron, we're doing all right, man. It's been a long week, but it's finally almost over. Just getting a little stream action. Trying to keep it to 35 minutes or less, but we shall see what we shall see. Ensuing Chaos says, here's a mind shot. Initially, the Jedi Council were hesitant, but first to Obi-Wan, Yoda said the Council accepted him to be trained, but Yoda did not. Yeah, I concur. Yoda was clearly against it. It's so funny because that whole situation was just messed up. On the one hand, as you have said, Yoda is against Anakin's training, although the consensus of the council, guessing it was just a majority vote, they decided, okay, well, this is best. It was probably reluctantly. It's probably because it just showed up. So we should take Anakin just because this looming threat, just in case he is the chosen one. That's Yoda's stance. On the other side of the aisle, there's Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan didn't like Anakin. I went back and I watched Phantom Menace. He straight up called the boy dangerous. Based on what? Just because your superior say so? He ain't done nothing. You know what I mean? So it was very peculiar. Very peculiar. Obi-Wan didn't like Anakin. He only trained Anakin out of loyalty to Qui. Of course, he grew to love Anakin as a brother, but initially he didn't want nothing to do with him. And he certainly wasn't prepared to train Padawan. Just finished up a live stream. Oh, awesome. How did that go, man? Mike had emailed me, but Saturday is the runaround day. But else. So I hope that will. What if the continued or increased separation was orchestrated? That's a good what if. I don't think that Palpatine orchestrated it. However, I do think that he capitalized. One thing that I was thinking about today, that the Sith rarely train their apprentices at birth. That's for a reason, because it's more advantageous to corrupt somebody that has already been made bitter by the. That's why their apprentices are usually older. So Anakin was a slave. He comes from a backwater. His values and the Jedi's intrinsic values are really going to clash in the course of his training. And Palpatine knows this. So all Palpatine has to do, and they said this in a book, I can't remember what novelization it was. Maybe it was a Phantom Menace too. Actually, maybe it was the Plagueis book. I think it was Plagueis. Palpatine has to do is sit back and Jedi and Anakin clash, and all he has to do is kind of stoke the fire. Course of 10 years. Yeah, I think you're smarter than the Jedi. Jedi weren't right the way that. Anakin, you're growing so powerful. Can't imagine why you're not on the council. Just has to plug those little seeds of doubt in. That's all he had to do. It was fun and long. Sounds like a good time. I'm gonna have to go check it out after this. Let's see, episode 2, Obi-Wan mentioned that Anakin's continued friendship to the Chancellor made the council uncomfortable. Wouldn't have been hard for Palpatine to push a little here or there to go. Oh, 100%. And Palpatine isn't dumb. He knows their relationship would be wrong. Forget Palpatine being dead. His just being a politician made the council uncomfortable. But instead of trying to counter that, with them bringing Anakin into the fold. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. They simply ostracize him. They turn their backs on him. So the only open arm, Palpatine. And Palpatine mentor. Jedi served as proper mentors. Do you think he would have felt that way? Probably not. Sorry for changing the subject by how it's been. My week hasn't been bad. Yesterday I ordered camera lens, so that'll be in service for the visual phase of the channel, which will be launching in hopefully the next 30 days. I have some stuff to get together. Asked to order. I have a couple of costume elements to order. Oh, my week has been fine, man. My week has been fine. Oh, forgot to tell you guys, so I'm not going on that Miami trip. Fortunately, it fell apart exactly how I thought it would. Instead, I got a couple of boys coming here, so the end of the month, can't wait. They haven't. Hopefully, some of this grimy turn into typical sunny San Diego weather, but we shall see. But does that equate to Palpatine orchestrating at least some of that? You know, I think that Palpatine he's such an overlord. He uses those 48 laws of power to. His name is Sidious. Something that's insidious is a sense of doom that increases and creeps along slowly. So he's true to his name. Creeps along under the radar or without notice, an impending sense of doom. So it is possible that he orchestrated some of it, but I think that what Palpatine does is not control events. He pushes people in situations where he knows how they'll respond. So I personally don't think that he orchestrated any. I mean, how would he? If somebody could explain to me how Palpatine possibly orchestrated that, I'd be willing to entertain it. But Palpatine really had to sit back and watch because he knows the Jedi, he knows their dogma. The Jedi and the Sith, like Palpatine said, are really, really similar, minus some cosmetic differences and some differences in belief. But yeah, all Palpatine had to do was sit back and. So yeah, that's my take on it. I don't think that he orchestrated Anakin being ostracized. But I do think he certainly capitalized on it, and I will say this: he probably helped to push Anakin away. The more Anakin felt ostracized, as a good mentor, Palpatine could have said, you know, just find a mentor within the Jedi Order. There's only so much I can do. Instead, he continued to pull Anakin towards him. So, in that manner, created something. You just said it yourself. Pushing people in actions will be okay. Well, from that point of view, yes, then he definitely had a hand in orchestrating him being ostracized. He did manipulate the Jedi into abandoning their own. And on the live stream last week, I forget who's on here, but somebody said we were kind of having a discussion, a debate, and I said that the Jedi should have stepped away from the conflict based on a couple of things. One thing that I saw on Facebook today was, so Jango Fett is at the Battle of Geonosis. Obi-Wan meets Jango as Geonosis, Jango is working for Tyrannus / Dooku, who they didn't know was Tyrannus. But wouldn't that just be fishy to you? The bounty hunter that you've been tracking turns out to work for Count Dooku. And he's also the template for the army. I mean, as the Clone Wars progressed, I just at least would have looked into that. That being said, I forget where I was going with this. Yes, abandoning their moral code. So we were talking last week, and I said that the Jedi should have pulled out of the conflict. Somebody else said that it would be hard for them to do that. While I agree that it would be hard, even the Jedi in retrospect knew that they should not have participated. And Yoda said that. Yeah, that was a serious moment. After I thought about it. But anyway, Yoda said that to Ezra Bridger. He said, rush to join the conflict, and that was our demise. So, what Palpatine did, he played on their sense of duty. He said that the Jedi aren't going to walk away from it. They see themselves as the guardians of peace and justice, so they're going to fight. Even though move them to not fight and flee instead, but they're not going to do that. So, Palpatine was truly a genius, and that's why I'm having so much fun with this 48 Laws of Power. He's the perfect case study. And once we hit probably episode 10 or 11, wait till you guys see the visual aspect. Once I get on camera, this face reveal and all of that, it's gonna be so much fun. You guys are in. Have you ever read Darth Plagueis A+ Spelling? Yeah, I've read Darth Plagueis. I've read it a couple times. You guys should check out the audiobook on audible.com. Oh, it's dramatized. Masterful work. It's so much fun. It's a great audiobook. But I think they need to go ahead and canonize Plagueis unless they have other plans for him, because that book, I believe, was written with some oversight from George Lucas. I know that Lucas told, it was James Luceno. I think he told James Luceno that Plagueis was immune. Not immune, but immune. Well, I think they should go ahead and canonize it, because that book is just too important or not to be canon, but maybe they have some other plans. I don't know. Is there anything? Anyway, yeah, that's really what I want to talk about. I really wanted to consider Anakin's point of view, and I'd like to consider some other philosophies in the galaxy far away from another point of view. I would appreciate if I could get some help from you guys if there are good ideas think might be worth looking at the other side of the aisle. Please let me know. Really appreciate it. A nice little group together, having a lot of fun. It'll be interesting a year from now how that looks. I really appreciate the kind words that you guys say. Somebody, I think it was Pete, left a comment, I should have more subscribers, and I really appreciate that, man. They will come. If you build it, they will come. Great movie, Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner. Do see growth coming soon. When we enter phase 2 for the channel, there will be some significant growth Star Wars YouTube has never seen before. Then when a Star Wars celebration, live streaming and the like, and growth. And then episode 9, The Mandalorian. I mean, a whole lot of Star Wars this year, and I think we're all along for the ride, and I think continue to people. So yeah, we'll get there. In the meantime, tell your friends if you're ever on Facebook or Instagram and you're talking with somebody applicable, shoot them my page. Hey, you should check out the Black Mandalorian. That would be the best way that could spread our myth. I served as a historian and radical artist. Some canon insights on that. That would be most interesting. Please, I would. Okay, I figured that, Pete. Got you. Have a couple of time. Well, if that's it, ladies and germs, I think I'm gonna get out of here. I do truly want to start being more exact with my time. Although I do enjoy the 2-hour chats, I do have other. So thanks you guys for coming. I really, really appreciate it. A lot of you guys are super insightful, super thoughtful. Don't let people beat you down with their stuff. Even myself. Healthy to disagree. Can even be fun. Usually if there's one thing that I've learned from Star Wars, it's not that everybody is right. Well, maybe. There's an old Arabic proverb that says, the opposite of any truth is also true. Star Wars teaches us that say is true from a certain point of view. So depending on who you're talking to, there can be sound reasons for any Star Wars based argument. Not all the time. Just remember that the opposite of any truth is all. Don't let people bully you with this and that, because anything can be argued. And it's all Star Wars, man. Different points of view. Yes, I do think that would make a good series. So I do have one video that's going to be very, very good, and I'm super excited about it. I want to break it down like instantly, immediately, but I'm going to wait because that would be it's just too good. I got to get it on film. The premise basically, so I've been doing a lot of thinking about episode 5 and Luke's ordeal in the cave. And I've been thinking about Rey's ordeal in the cave in 8. Not just how they relate, but truly what they both mean individually. And it's been hard. Trying to sort it out and trying to. Obviously, Rey's showing her that her parentage was. Whereas Luke's, not only was it showing him what he would become, but it was foreshadowing that he was the son of Vader. Because his face was in the I have some unique ideas about that and how Yoda is the bridge between those two scenes. I won't break it down to you now, but Yoda says to Luke, remember what you have learned, save you it can. And in episode 6, he says, pass on what you have learned. Episode 5, he says, remember your failure at the cave, right? Episode 8, some failure is the greatest teacher. Pass on what you have learned, including failure. So there's some connections there. Luke did not pass on his failure at the cave to Rey. That was the failure that he should have passed on. While he was disappointed that Rey did not fight back against the pull to the dark, neither did he. So anyway, we'll talk about that more. Pete, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. You'll definitely see more every Saturday if we can help it. I'm actually gonna get out of here too. So just smoke that over. I really want to do that, but have to be for it'll have to be for phase 2. I got some really that will be one of them. So thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. Thanks. That's it. May the force be with you guys. Have a good and safe weekend. And I will probably drop a video. I'm gonna do Law 6 and 48 Laws of Power. That'll be either maybe Monday, but we shall see what we shall see. Anyway, good night, folks, and may the force be with you.